Yo, what is good, everybody? It is KJ, and I'm back, and I did mention to y'all, we do have a third league that we did pick up, and it is, as you can see, going to be PPL. So PPL is doing something in their off-season of their main league, where they have the PPL Flare and Bolt divisions, but yeah, so there are 28 coaches total, and we're gonna do like basically 2 different divisions, and then playoffs and all that will be intermingled and whatnot, I believe. So it's gonna be super dope. I'm super excited. Shout out to Gray for the invite. I'm really appreciative of that. And as you can see, we got pick 10. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk through everything pretty quickly, but I'm gonna show all the mons that we drafted, and then we'll kind of go through in a pick by pick order and just kind of talk through what I was thinking, right? So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so this is the squad, and I will say at pick 10, they did do things a little differently. And by that, what I mean is they actually cut off like some of the higher tier mons. So things like Dragapult and Iron Valiant aren't actually allowed. However, so like I think the best mon, technically, in my opinion, the best mon is Great Tusk. So Great Tusk is the best mon that was available. Obviously, we did not get Great Tusk, but that's okay. So yeah, at pick 10, I was like, I really want to try Greninja. I think Battle Bond is really good. I think Protean is actually still really good, even though it got nerfed. Like, obviously, Battle Bond got nerfed too. And Gren just gives me a good offensive spiker, as well as just a really good mon, and hits a really good speed tier. So Gren was there when I was picking, and it's funny because I was actually torn between Gren and Ogerpon Fire, Ogerpon Hearthflame. And as you can see, I ended up with both. So on the way back, I did end up getting Ogerpon, and I was really happy about this because I was like, okay, I now have 2 very offensive spikers, good speed tiers, good pivoting, and mons that are really hard to switch into also. Like Gren, stab coverage is really good. If it's Protean, then it just clicks buttons. And Ogerpon is just absolutely insane. Like, this mon is so good. I mean, looking at it, it just hits so hard, and it has access to hit most of the things that check it. So I was really happy to get Ogerpon here as well. And now that I was starting to think about the team, I was like, you know what? It'd be really good to get stuff that kind of deters hazards and stuff like that. Or if I do have hazards up, kind of stop my opponent from getting rid of my hazards. So immediately I thought of the plan that would have Gholdengo, Hatterene, and Zapdos Galar. I was like, those 3 mons together are like the biggest hazard removal and deterrent out there. I was like, this would be great. As you can see, I got 2 of the 3. So rather than taking Zapdos Galar, because I didn't prioritize, I really didn't prioritize it. I thought Mamo was actually really good. So I went Gholdengo, then Mamo on my next 2 picks. And honestly, Gholdengo, I've used it before. It's super awesome. I really wanted to give it another try. Last time I had it with Tinglu in a Showdown League, and I enjoyed it, but I feel like I didn't necessarily draft the best team for it. This feels like it's going to be in a pretty good spot to do really well. So very excited about that. And then Mamoswine is a mon that I haven't really got to use all that much. I think I used it once in a previous league, but it got Trailblaze, which is really cool, and it kept a lot of the tools that it had. So I'm really excited to use it again. I think it's going to be really good. I think it's one of those mons that is just really hard to switch into. Like Ice, Ground, Stab is just really difficult to switch into. And again, it's another offensive hazard setter. So now I have 3 offensive hazard setters and something that's going to be a spin blocker, stop mons from being able to click defog. And yeah, I'm just really excited to use those 4 mons. Next, I was looking and I was like, you know what? I think these next 2 picks really kind of give me good hazard removal and deterrent. And I really needed that because, again, with Ogerpon, I really thought, okay, if I'm going to really enable Ogerpon, because it can't hold boots, it's a fire type that can't hold boots, I need to make sure that hazards aren't going up. So Cyclizar, one of the best spinners in the format that isn't a Donphan variant. and Hatterene, which bounces back hazards. I thought, okay, this is really good, and also completes a Fairy Dragon Steel Core, which again is really nice. And so just looking at the team, I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, I think Cyclizar gives really good utility, especially with things like knockoff, and again, rapid spin, being able to U-turn out, being able to click like Stab Dragon Tail, stuff like that, but also being able to be special. And I was just like, I like this. I like this team a lot. Like, I was looking at my top 6 Mons and I was like, this is fantastic. But I started to think, okay, now I need to get a Terra Captain. And because my team is sort of trying to make sure that people don't set hazards on us, I thought, okay, I can scoop up Frostmoth. And I think I can really make Frostmoth work because it's a Mon that does often want to wear boots because obviously it is 4 times weak to rock. But if I can kind of deter hazards and keep hazards off, then I don't necessarily have to always run boots. So I also looked, and so the way that the Terra Captains work in this league is there really wasn't, it was like super low tier. There really wasn't anything over like 7 total points that we would be sort of able to draft and make a Terra Captain, but we had like a separate Terra allotment, and then each Mon that could Terra had their own point value, right? So in this case, Frostmoth was 14 points for Terra, but I think it was only like 4 points to my actual budget, which I thought was really cool. So we get 20 points total. I was like, all right, I'll get a 6-point Mon after, but Frostmoth was the Mon that I decided to take. I think Terra Bug is just really good. We had to choose 3 types. One of them had to be Stab. So I think Terra Bug is really good. I might switch it to Terra Ice at some point. I don't know. I'll have to make a decision on that. Terra Water is definitely the best choice for it because I think Terra Water, just being able to come in and chew up the fire type attacks, is really nice. And then I chose Fighting because I did want to be able to break steel types. Now, I do think that I could end up going with Fire because I think some of the Mons that are neutral to, some of the steel types that are neutral to fighting, say like Tinkaton or even Corviknight, I can struggle with a little bit. So I do want to kind of keep that in mind, and I might make a change, who knows, but Fire might end up being what I go with. But I did think that Fighting was good because I did think that Fighting was good because I do resist rocks, and it's just really nice, right? So we might change up the Terra type. We'll see. But anyway, I really need something that's going to be able to be Scarved, able to be like a crazy physical breaker, and be able to just kind of like pivot in and out and stuff like that. And honestly, I wasn't super sold on this Mon, but I decided to go with Staraptor. So shout out to Onesie Bennett. Onesie Bennett convinced me that Staraptor was worth it. We'll see if it is. I'm excited to potentially use it. So it's a Mon that I've never used before. I've never drafted it. Shout out to young KJ playing, I say young KJ, teenage KJ playing Gen 4 for the first time and using Staraptor. I'm super excited to give it a try and draft. I think it's a really cool Mon. I think it's a Mon that can be like a crazy breaker, whether it's banded or whether it is Scarved or whatever. I think it's really good. I just have never been able to use it, but I think this team enables it pretty well because I do have a lot of hazard deterrent. I do actually have another form of hazard removal with Frostmoth. I don't think I'll be bringing Defog on Frostmoth, but like, it's a possibility, right? So the next Mon after that I grabbed was Weezing, and with Weezing, I was really excited because I thought that it just gave me a very good physical wall, and the team wasn't super weak to ground, but having a poison that isn't necessarily going to be weak to ground is nice because it does have Levitate, and Neutralizing Gas is also an ability that comes in play and is very handy very often, right? So looking at this now, I did not have many points left, so I was like, okay, I'm going to need to probably get another water type because obviously Gren functions better offensively as a water, but not defensively as a water. So I knew that was going to be on the list. I knew I had to get another Terra Captain, and I didn't have a grass type, and I was looking in again, like with not having a bulky water and my current grass being also a fire type, my water resists were pretty bad. Actually, my only, I would say, true water resist at this point was Cyclizar, because again, Gren is so frail, it's more offensive, and Ogerpon doesn't resist water. So those were things that I was keeping in mind, right? And then obviously I didn't have an electric type, and I wanted an electric type that was a little bit more of a slow pivot. Like I had a lot of fast pivots, right? I have Gren, I have Ogerpon, I have Cyclizar, I also have Staraptor, which again, very often will be Scarved. So I had a lot of fast pivots, and only slow pivot that I really had is, say, Baton Pass on the Hatterene, I believe. So I was like, all right, let's see what we can do. And actually, I think Frostmoth might get U-turn as well, but still, we're not really going to be U-turning, I don't think. So anyway, I decided with my next pick I was going to grab Bellibolt. This is something I've seen quite a few people use and use well. I really, shout out to one of my closest friends in the draft community, Tago, who used it really well in our NatDex League, ISL. And then I've also seen Eli use this, although it was Terra, pretty well in PDD. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this thing a shot. It also got access to Toxic with the DLC, so that's pretty dope. So I was like, you know what? Toxic, I can get behind that. It's a bulky mon. I can click Toxic and click Slack Off to recover health. It has the ability to Volt Switch out on stuff. Like, it's a pretty decent low tier electric, right? I couldn't Terra it, so I was like, it is what it is. So that actually leads me to the next two picks. So at this point, I'm like, I definitely need water resist, right? So I was looking and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to Terra Go-Go. I think Terra Go-Go would be really cool. And that gave me enough points to also pick up the homie Poliwrath, right? So with Terra Go-Go, my thinking was it has Sap Sipper, which is really nice. So Terra Water is going to be really good. It's going to be able to sit on things and just do things like click Bulk Up and click some coverage moves. It has some crazy coverage with like Play Rough and Earthquake and Rock Slide, I believe. So I was like, you know what? This is dope. And also it gets Recovery with Miltank, even though Recovery as a whole has been nerfed. And then, yeah, like I said, I thought this would be really cool. So I thought Go-Go was solid. I wanted to also go with a defensive typing. So obviously had to go with Stab with Terra Grass. And then we've got Water, which I just think is a very good type for it. And last I went with Steel. We'll see if I keep Steel or if I switch it to Fairy. Who knows? But it's all good. And then the last mon, again, is Poliwrath. So Poliwrath is a mon that I think is really cool because it can be physical or special and has some good abilities. It is something that can be really good into like rain teams with Swift Swim or Water Absorb. And I thought that it would just be really solid. Also got access to like Baton Pass now, and like the circle throw, the bulky circle throw sets are really cool. I just think Poliwrath has a ton of potential. And I think as a defensive water that can also be offensive, it's really good. So this was the team. This is the team. If I had to critique it at all, I would say I wish I had one more rocker, but that's what happens when your steel type doesn't have rocks. So it's all good. I think if anything were to change, I might think about changing the Staraptor and some of the Terra types, but we'll see. The next game, or the first game rather, should be going up tomorrow from when this is up. So you'll get to see sort of what I was thinking, how I played, all that good stuff. In week 1, we are playing some really good competition this season, and I'm super excited. I'm super excited to be part of PPL and play under their banner, and yeah, this is gonna be fun. Let me know what y'all think, and yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the comments and everything. So I will catch y'all later. Thank you everybody for watching. Take it easy. Peace.